show, and thank you for staying tuned to Health Matters on Channels Television. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. As of Friday, April the 16th, there were almost 140 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 globally. That's by reports from the BBC. More than 79 million people have recovered, and the death toll is about 3 million. In Nigeria, there were over 164,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19, more than 154,000 recoveries, and 2,061 deaths. Just 2 deaths in the week. So that's 495 new infections and only 231 recoveries between the 9th and the 16th. Recovery rate is steady at 94%. Case fatality rate still hovering at about 1.26%. Total samples tested are over 1.8 million, with almost 35,000 new tests during the week. Now, according to the NCDC, as at April the 6th, 7 states had reported cases of highly pathogenic avian influenza, H5N1, also called bird flu. The states are Kano, Plateau, Bauchi, Gombe, Nasarawa, Kaduna, and Niger states. 2 of these states reported human cases of the infection. Avian influenza is caused by a virus which primarily affects birds, but can infect humans also. My guest today is a public health physician and chairman, Infectious Diseases Committee of the Nigerian Medical Association in Lagos, Dr. Japheth Olubogi. You're welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure to be on the show.
So they said 7 states as at that time. Have we added any more states since then?
I think there are about 8 states now. But whether there are 7 states or 8 states, the problem is that we have the H5N1 in Nigeria right now, and it's ravaging poultry, ravaging birds. In fact, birds are dropping from the sky.
Wow.
In some other countries.
It's that bad?
Yes. The problem is not only in Nigeria. I think if we continue the way it's going, we may have another pandemic on our hands.
Of bird flu this time.
Yes,
how many countries are we talking about?
We have an outbreak already in South Africa, in South Korea, in India as well, and Turkey. Even UK have an outbreak of bird flu there. In fact, I understand that there was a lockdown on birds in the UK. And the lockdown just...
Are you serious right now? A lockdown?
Yes, the lockdown just opened about a week or thereabouts. So birds are dying, not just the birds in the poultries, birds even in the sky drop dead because of that highly pathogenic avian influenza. This is a new strain compared to...
So flying creatures are dropping?
Flying creatures, yes.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah,
because
of course,
they can fly over
dangerous.
Totally clean areas and start something.
I even think that's the reason why we have it in many countries right now. It started in January, and I think it subsided a little in the second week of February. But then again, it's in so many countries now. It's also happening in some other African countries that I can't remember their names. But it's there. It's a big deal in South Africa right now, in Gauteng province.
So some countries are having the twin troubles of COVID-19
exactly.
and avian influenza.
Exactly.
That's a big one to take.
Exactly.
I understand that birds are culled. Sometimes whole farms, the birds are culled, and that's poverty for the farmer anyway. But how do you cull flying creatures?
It's a dire situation, and if we just look at it, that it's just 7 states. Let's not forget that these are farmers, these are parents, fathers. It's a livelihood, and I understand up to one farmer lost up to 1,000 birds or thereabout. That's a lot of money gone down the drain, and when it happens, when that bird flu attacks a poultry, they hardly ever have a bird that will survive because it spreads so fast from the nasal products, from saliva, from the bird droppings, and the birds are put together in one place. It spreads very rapidly within the birds. It can also spread to humans, whether by direct contact with these bird droppings or by indirect contact, maybe when they touch surfaces through their boots or their outfits, they take to the farm. So this can also spread it to humans, and the same symptoms, almost the same symptoms that you have in the birds, the humans can also have.
That's what I wanted to ask. What are the symptoms like?
Well, in the birds can have sore throat, they can have fever, and some of them who are layers, yes.
Forgive me, but how do you know a bird who has
well, the vet doctors will tell you.
Okay.
That's why they are also called doctors, because they are doctors of animals. They have fevers as well. They have sore throat. Would you believe that a bird can have sore throat?
Yeah.
Yes, they do have sore throat. They even have sneezing and depression as well. And the layers, yes, the layers can have a low rate of,
the
turnout,
drop,
yes.
the egg drops.
They can also feed less, so inability to feed, some of the symptoms that you find in all those birds. When in humans, you have the regular respiratory tract infection symptoms that you have in COVID and any flu, like sore throat, cough, sneezing, even fever, muscle aches. These are the things that you can find in a human. And then the incubation rate is about 2 days to 8, within 2 days and 8 days. So it's a highly contagious disease that we need to pay attention to.
How do you now differentiate between bird flu and COVID-19 in a human being?
Well, in a human being, it may be difficult for somebody to differentiate, but the contact period, like I said, is the incubation rate is between 2 to 8 days, whereas for COVID is within 2 to 14 days. And then again, apart from the history, that is where you've been, what contact have you made, if somebody has made contact with poultry, with a farmer or with bird droppings, of course, the health worker who are trained to know these things can actually have a hint that this person having this kind of fever, it's actually a high fever. It's not the kind of high fever you see
38 degrees
in COVID.
centigrade.
Yes. So, and they have these respiratory symptoms. From there, you can know that this individual is likely to be suffering from avian influenza. But then again, they can also be tested. When samples, the nasopharyngeal sample is collected from them, this can be taken to the lab. It's some of the same type of test they do for COVID that they do for somebody that has avian influenza as well. So this can actually, hone down on the fact that the individual has avian influenza.
I understand that an emergency operations center was opened at level 1. I was thinking that would be a mild level, but what you're describing is potentially dangerous.
Yes, in public health, these things have levels and, strata. You cannot jump from level 0 to level 2 or level 3 without observing level 1. Okay, for instance now, if you say level 1 is where you do surveillance, and all that, and you bring in patients or clients who may have been exposed to it. And level 3 is where you have maybe lockdown and all that. So if you don't do surveillance, if you don't, do engagement, if you don't pick up cases, if you don't detect any case at all, you cannot start locking down. You cannot start, cordoning a particular farm or a particular area. So that is why you go from one level to the other. We had a similar case in 2007, I think. And a task force was set up in Lagos where we had so many farms, about 23 farms or thereabouts, coming, having this avian influenza, which we call bird flu. And the task force made a lot of, they did a lot of activities, from printing IEC materials, from TV shows, from engagement of stakeholders, from so many things, even training health workers from the local government level to the general hospital level. So these are all activities that need to be activated as you go along in the emergency operations response.
Can you describe what a lockdown would look like, a lockdown for avian influenza?
If we were to lock down for avian influenza, we are not locking humans down.
Okay.
We're locking down farms, poultry produces, and all that. So if you suspect that there's a farm or a poultry somewhere where 1 or 2 birds have died, and you do surveillance, or maybe, first of all, the first thing to do is to remove birds that are infected or that are showing symptoms away from the other birds. But when that doesn't work and other birds are dying, you have to close down that farm. You have to close down that poultry and disinfect as much as possible.
What happens to some of the birds who may not have been infected? Do they just die?
Some of them die, but then again, those who do not die, the government can call them. The government can kill them.
So that farm is gone. When you've locked down,
for that particular time.
Well,
that farm is gone.
If they get infected, they're not going to have offspring. You're not going to have any...
but they're going to die and they're going to infect other birds.
No, I'm trying to look at, let's say a farmer has 1,000 birds.
Yes.
And then you say there's a lockdown on his farm. Does that mean he cannot feed the healthy ones?
He cannot do anything.
So he automatically...
Those birds are going to be called. Yes,
farm.
he has lost his farm. But before that happens, that so many activities will have to have taken place. The members of the task force probably visit that farm to see what is happening, see how many birds have been affected, how many birds are dying, any bird recovering. Meanwhile, the mortality rate is very, very high. It's almost 100%.
Oh.
Yes,
for
almost
the birds.
100% for the birds.
How about for humans?
For humans, it's not as much. Humans recover within 2 to 8 days. When they get adequate care, humans recover fast. But then again, it's also humans can also die from this disease. So if you find a farm that has birds that are dying, you have to close that farm down. You have to close that farm down.
It makes sense. It's just that it's so sad.
Because you are not just preventing the birds this time around, you're also preventing the farmer or the farmers. Yes, the farm workers.
How sustainable is it for farmers to wear PPE?
It is not. Well, farmers can wear PPE. In fact, farmers are advised to wear PPE. It is in these parts of the world that you don't see people take enough precautions when we carry out our activities. I mean, other parts of the world, that's why we have this HSE. Health and safety.
Shouldn't this PPE wearing and safety precautions happen even when there's no suspicion of disease?
It should be. It should be. People should wear safety boots, helmets, overall when you go into farm produce. But in the West, in the Southwest, what we do mostly is backyard production.
Yeah,
just
watch your family and
you will take. Yes, it's in the north that we have the big farms. Although we have more birds, as reported, in the southwest than in the north. But in the north, they mostly have big farms. When you enter
so we have to be looking into PPE. But
yes,
meanwhile, let's take a short break. We'll go on a short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Health Matters on Channels TV. We are talking about bird flu, which seems to be spreading, not just in Nigeria, but other countries. Call 0808-054-2233 to ask any question about bird flu. And you can also tweet at CTV_Mary A. I've been itching to ask you this question. Do we have human-to-human transmission of bird flu?
Yes, of course.
That's bad
when
news.
somebody picks up the infection from a bird, maybe through the bird droppings and all that, the human who has the symptoms, who can, pass it to another human through what we call droplet infections. And it's just about the same way
that
COVID to another person.
But what is the R factor? I mean, one person can infect like how many people? Is it very contagious?
It's not as contagious as COVID, but one person can infect at least the household. A human being who has it, a farmer, can infect the household because they live together.
It has come to the point whereby if somebody is coughing, for whatever reason, even common cough, you just isolate.
That's a very valid point.
It doesn't matter what kind of cough.
At this point in time, when somebody coughs, you ensure that you don't cough, in a way that you could infect others. Whatever
even if it's a common cold.
Even if it's just a common cold, you can't tell. And I think it's one of the reasons why China were able to control COVID faster than almost every other person in the whole world.
The mask wearing.
Yeah, they wear the mask. They practice cough hygiene. They don't just cough anyhow. They don't just sneeze or yawn anyhow. They protect themselves. Everybody wears that mask. And because of that, the rate of infection dropped drastically. And although the thing started there, but you can imagine where they are now. and where US or Brazil is.
Okay, so now that birds are actually dropping from the sky, which to me is the most frightful thing, because birds can move from one country
to the other.
To another country.
Yes.
They are not restricted. How will this be stopped?
Well, one of the major ways it can be stopped is vaccine, to develop a vaccine.
Develop a vaccine.
Develop a vaccine.
I thought there was a vaccine already for birds against flu.
There is a vaccine, but have you seen the vaccine? Do you have it in Nigeria? That's not it's not everywhere, but it should be. It should be. Farmers should have access to this. It is one of the things that government should, endeavor to do for farmers. Imagine one farmer losing 500 to 1,000 to 2,000.
Let's quickly take this call from Mrs. Yakubu in Kaduna. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your question?
My question is, these birds that are flying, millions of them around the Yakubu Avenue area, Lugard Hall. We have birds flying around, especially in the evenings, around that time, 6:30, 7:30 p.m. to 7. Millions of them. Can they be responsible for this bird flu from their droppings?
Thank you, Mrs. Yakubu. Doctor will answer that question. She says birds, millions, she says, flying over the sky in the night in Kaduna State. Could they be responsible for some of these?
Yeah, it's possible,
infections?
actually. It's possible because what happened in South Africa, it's a similar issue that happened in South Africa. I'm not quite sure. It even started from a poultry. I think it started from birds that are flying, we're not talking about chickens alone. We're talking about pigeons, geese, and all that, turkeys. So in Kaduna, it may be a similar occurrence that's going on over there.
Is there no treatment? And if there is treatment, both for birds and humans, is there a cure?
I'm not quite sure there is a cure, but it's treatment, actually. There are antivirals that, for humans, when you use those antivirals, within a couple of days,
they get better.
They get better.
But what's the fatality rate like in humans? You said for
it's
birds,
over 90% as well.
That is high.
It's over 90% as well. For those who don't get treatment, for those who get treatment, almost everyone will recover when you get treatment.
So how soon must a person report when symptoms, after symptoms?
As soon as anybody who knows that he or she has made contact with, the poultry, bird droppings and all that, or even, droplets, particles from a bird or anybody that's infected, and they start developing symptoms, they should report to the nurse.
Okay, let me make it more practical. What's the protocol? Let's say I'm coughing, maybe I've developed a fever, and I come to the hospital and say, look, I don't like how I feel, and you begin to ask me those questions. Does treatment start immediately, or do you take samples? How many days does it take to find out and all that?
Well, for any ailment at all, the doctor will have to do whatever they need to do. They take the story you have to tell about the ailment. They do physical examination, and they take samples for tests, which is very crucial.
Okay, I'll get back to you, but let me quickly take Salome in Abuja.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can we have your question?
Yes, please. I saw your topic, bird flu in Nigeria, and I wanted to know, the bird flu is an animal disease, and I can't see any veterinarian discussing with you on bird flu. I'm thinking that the veterinarians should be the people that should talk concerning bird flu in Nigeria. But
Okay.
I can see that you're discussing with someone else that may not be probably in the know of everything that is happening concerning bird flu.
Okay, so thank you, Salome. This is what I will do about your question. I will ask the doctor. She's saying maybe a veterinarian, a vet doctor, let me not go into that long name, should be discussing with me. At what point do both of you meet in the management of bird flu? Because I know that since it's a zoonotic disease, a vet is involved. But because there's human transmission, we have to talk to people doctors. At what point do you meet in your collaboration over a disease like this?
Well, first of all, a task force will comprise a vet doctor and a doctor, a medical doctor as well. And, while the vet doctors take actions for, involving the birds, the medical doctor takes action involving the humans. But the prevention, the surveillance, the contact tracing, everything involves both of them.
Okay.
Because apart from the fact that they are both doctors,
but is
both
contact
trained,
tracing really involved in
yes,
with birds? Once it's a farm, your contacts are all the birds.
You are looking at the birds. You're not looking at the farmers, people who work in the farm, people who make contact with the farmers themselves. So that's where contact tracing comes in. Surveillance also comes in. You have to go into the farm, but that's the job of the vet doctor anyway. You have to go into the farm and pick out those birds that are affected and isolate them from the populace so that they don't infect other birds that are in the farm.
Okay.
And that's a very crucial step.
Can any birds be saved?
It's almost 100%.
Wow.
Mortality rate.
Well, thank you for coming to the show. We're out of time. That was a very interesting discussion. And it looks as if our solution is find a vaccine.
Find a vaccine.
Thank you so much for being with us on the show. And thank you for your questions, Salome and Mrs. Yakubu. And the rest of you, have a lovely day. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.